All right, so our last exercise of 1.2 is having you brainstorm some categorical and quantitative data. Now, this is way less fun in a video lecture than it is in a traditional lecture where I'm standing in front of you. So what I'll probably do, or what I'm going to do, is I'm going to have you guys brainstorm some ideas on your own. And then when we come together in class, I can go through and see that you've actually done this. So I'm going to give you 2 of each, and then I'm going to expect you to come up with 3 more. I will, hopefully we'll have time. I can't remember what exactly my activity is for week 2, but if I have time, I'm going to come through and check these and give you guys points for having done and added the 3 additional pieces. So this is what I will check for your video lecture notes for part 1. So some examples, I think it's a lot easier to do this section if you come up with some theme. I had a student do sandwiches one year. If you're into cars or fantasy football or hockey, whatever the heck, choose a theme, choose something that's interesting to you, and it's a lot easier to come up with stuff that you might collect related to that particular theme. So categorical data, I'm going to go with the very traditional things you always fill out in a survey. One thing you usually fill out is your gender, right, or sex, whichever one you want to put down there. You might also have something like ethnicity. Now, in terms of quantitative variables, something you might collect on just a very, very basic survey, age. Now, I always have students here, when we start talking about age, they go, well, age, technically, right, a lot of the surveys you see will ask which category of age do you fall into, which age bracket. So if you did age bracket, that could be categorical, but the raw age is quantitative, right? So age is quantitative, though some people will make it categorical. I had a lot of groups last semester when we did a project, choose to do a project about GPA, and traditionally GPA is quantitative. Most groups just made it ranges because they weren't sure people would know their GPA right off the bat, and they made it into a categorical variable. But like I said, add 3 more to each of these. And you know, it's a lot more fun if you come up with a theme, whether it's hockey or whatever it might be, things you could collect. Our last definitions of 1.2 are the different types of categorical and quantitative data. So categorical data can fall into 3 different categories. Nominal means there's no ordering scheme. So if we think back to these ones that we had before, both gender and ethnicity are what we would consider it's a giant fat pen again. You guys, I'm going to do this all semester. Look forward to it. Both gender and ethnicity are what we would call nominal, because there's no ordering scheme. One ethnicity is not better than another ethnicity, or is not higher in some way. Now, if I did have a student who did do those GPA ranges, right? 1 to 1.5, 1.5 to 2, so on, so on. That would be what we call ordinal, because there is some ordering scheme. Having a 3.5 to a 4.0 is a higher GPA than having a 3 to a 3.5. There is a meaningful way to organize and order those GPAs. So that's ordinal. Binary is when there's just a yes or no. So do you agree with this policy change? Yes or no. That type of a deal. And then quantitative data, this is not by any means an entire list of the types of quantitative data, but we will only be looking at discrete versus continuous quantitative data. So discrete is something that takes only countable numbers. Usually things with the word number are a good indication of this, whereas continuous, they have an infinite number of possibilities without gaps. So think about age. The way we traditionally report out age, for those of us over the age of like 6, we will just give our age out in a discrete variable, correct? Right? I'm either 33 or I'm 34, I'm 18 or I'm 19, right? You have these set numbers. It's discrete. If you think about like a number line, you can hit only those dots: 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. We're no longer reporting out our age as 22 and a half when we get this old. Whereas GPA, the worst your GPA can be is a 0, but it can go all the way up to a 4.0, and it can hit any number on there. Depending on how many units you've taken, it is possible to hit every single thing on this range. So it's almost like filling in this entire number line with possibilities. So that's the difference between continuous and discrete. Yeah. Hopefully that makes that clear. There are a bunch of other crazy interval, blah, 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 ratio, all these other types of quantitative data that all have slightly technical different ways to analyze them. But this is really, these are important because the way that we analyze these data or these variables depends on what type it is.